Ian, I can see you as well too. I like your beautiful banners in the background.
Yes, hello everyone. This one is Galapagos.
Yeah.
I think this beautiful bird, the blue-footed booby, may be the same bracelet you've got there with the
Definitely.
with the feet. Yeah, and the
Very nice.
and
Oh,
the neck
nice.
necklace. That's nice.
My favorite.
Yeah.
Well, I think I'll just use that as a terrific way to kind of segue into the beginning of our presentation today, just to simply say that I'm going to go on record saying that this is probably going to be the most times you're going to hear the word booby at the Indian Head Library in the next hour. But we're talking, of course, about the species, and we'll be talking about all sorts of species because we are going to go on. I definitely think this is probably one of the most anticipated travel talks that I've put on for a little while. It's just a destination that people are really into, and we're going to go there tonight. Vanessa, just before I begin, can you give me a thumbs up if I'm coming through loud and clear? Are we good on your end? Yeah? Yeah, we're good. Okay, I see you're on mute, but I saw that your thumb is up. So I'm just going to begin by getting into the screen share. So you'll lose me visually, but you're going to get something a little bit better, a lot better. You're going to get a wonderful trip tonight to the Galapagos Islands. For anybody who's on Zoom, other than our guest speakers, if I could just get you to turn your microphones off so we don't have your background noises. Please, if you want to leave your video on, that's up to you. And we'll have time for questions as well after the second part, after Bernardo's presentation. So just hold on to any questions. If you have them, you can just write them down. We'll ask for questions. Or if you're on Zoom tonight, you could pop your questions into the chat room, and then I'll just go through and I'll take a look at what questions we have come in. It's as simple as that, folks. So I'm going to get the screens here ready and we'll get on our way. We are going to be exploring the Galápagos Islands tonight. Yay.
Yay.
All right, perfect, folks. So we're off to the Galápagos Islands. Obviously, I never update the date, and I'm always behind that way. Today is not January 17th. It is February 15th. It is the day after Valentine's Day. So I hope that you're digesting all your Valentine's Day chocolates. But if you didn't get a Valentine's Day gift this year, maybe this trip to the Galápagos Islands that we're taking virtually will leave you inspired. So I'll just first mention a little bit about me because then you're not going to hear from me too much tonight. But for those of you that are new to me, my name is Dave Wentworth. I am the owner of Destination Whatever. So as a travel agency owner, I do all the front end business stuff and I'm doing all the behind the scenes things. So I'm booking your trips, I'm taking care of the marketing. And what I like to market, what I like to promote are trips that are going to change your life, help you live your best life, help you have those moments that are just OMG. And so I'm talking about small group trips, expedition trips, which is the category we're looking at tonight, river and ocean cruising, love that. Adventures for all, you've heard me say anything can be an adventure. Unique destinations, I definitely think the Galapagos qualifies as a unique destination because there's no place on the planet like it. And of course, custom itineraries. No two itineraries are alike, but you can let me know what you want to do. If you want to plan a trip to the Galapagos for the next time they have an eclipse, I'm going to get out the calendars. I'm going to get out my crystal ball. I'm going to find out when that eclipse is, and I'm going to give you the dates that you can book and go down there. I think that would be amazing because I think the animals would behave crazy. But anyway, I'll wait to Bernardo. Maybe he has experience of being down there in an eclipse. And then outside of what I do, I got doing this because my background is in international development. That's what I studied at university. When I was at university, my passion was looking at tourism and development in what we would have called at the time second and third world countries. So responsible tourism, ecotourism, tourism as a method to empower economies and to empower people. That's what I'm really about. And I've traveled to almost 40 countries on 6 continents. And I have over a decade of experience planning trips with Canadians coast to coast. I do all my service through my website, which I'll show you at the end of tonight's presentation. Some of you have already gone to my website. And basically, yeah, I'm here to help Canadians coast to coast because I've got the concepts, I've got the ideas. I have more lift than a kangaroo on a trampoline. Let me tell you that much, people. And you know, it's out of my humor. I've got passion for language, culture, and just discovering. I want to learn every single day. And so tonight's menu will consist of part one. We're going to hear from Michelle, our guest speaker tonight, who's joining me in my office. And we're going to go through her week in the Galapagos. So we'll take a look at what that trip entailed. She was just down there in October. And then we have Bernardo from Hurtigruten Expeditions, HX. They're so cool with their new name, and I love it. And anyway, where it says at 7 p.m., we'll turn it over to the crew. That's wrong. It's going to be Bernardo to talk to us a bit more about the specifics of the ship, the perspective of the tour operator. If you're thinking about what the different itineraries are like down there, promotions, when is the right time to book, Bernardo's going to give you some info, because I'm sure after hearing Michelle, you're going to be like, okay, I got to get down there myself. And then I'm going to come back at the end just to wrap it all up. And from front to end, we should be going about 1 hour tonight. We'll have time for your questions before I wrap up. So Michelle is our guest speaker tonight. Michelle, you traveled down to the Galapagos in October, and you've prepared a few things today. So before we get going, is there anything you'd like to tell our audience about who you are and why you wanted to go to the Galapagos?
Oh, I'm a retired teacher, newly retired. So this was my gift to myself. I have always wanted to go to the Galapagos. I'm totally into wildlife and nature and saving the planet, and Hurtigruten and destination whatever are totally exactly up my alley. Do everything that I'm interested in, and it did not disappoint.
Cool, because you had heard about the Galapagos, but I think you hadn't heard about this tour operator before.
Absolutely, I did not know about Hurtigruten, and I'm so glad you told me about them. So it was just a magical trip, beginning to end.
Cool. Well, that's what I'm here for, dear, to educate and inspire so we know the coolest products that we can consider for our booking. So, Michelle, I'm just going to go through the slides and I'm going to let you narrate. And again, we're going to go in the order here that's on the menu. So let's get underway, and I'll move to our first slide. If you want to just tell me when you're ready, I'll go to the next one and so on.
Sure. So our first day, we actually landed in Quito, and I didn't put a whole bunch of pictures in because I was wanting to focus on the Galapagos. But we had a great day in Quito, beautiful city, lots to see, great culture, just being on the street and seeing the locals and just living that life. It was just amazing. We stayed in an amazing hotel, the JW Marriott. And then our second day, we had, and I cannot remember his name, and Karen couldn't either, but our guide was incredible. And he took us to Cotopaxi. So we'll see a few of those pictures later. And we had lunch at the Hacienda, which is the photo you're looking at now, just one of them. I also love taking pictures of flora and fauna. So you're going to see quite a bit of that. So just a beautiful place. The owners are locals, and they just treat everyone like they're part of the family. So it was just a fabulous afternoon with them.
Cool. Well, let's take a look.
Their courtyard, yes. This was at Cotopaxi. So this is our Team Galapagos. So there's our guide there. Very knowledgeable, knew so much, and was just super kind and accommodating for everyone. And that's our group. So you can see Karen's in the blue vest, and I'm on the end in my black, probably what I'm wearing today. I probably should burn this, Karen, after wearing it so many days.
Well, yeah, I'm glad you're wearing it tonight. And for some of our listeners on Zoom and at the library, I just always like to point out those beautiful jackets that you get with a lot of trips with Hurtigruten Expeditions, not to the tropical regions, which is why you're going to have to go on another one.
I'm in.
But I can see that we got a man here who picked up one in one of their cooler water locations. Let's move ahead. Whoops.
And so there we are. We did a walk around the lake with the Cotopaxi volcano in the distance, and that's Karen and I with the now missing walking sticks. That's another story. And just beautiful flora. And our guide knew so much about it, and I'm afraid I should have taken notes but did not. So you're just going to get a look at some of the beautiful plants that were around there, and a few insects.
Absolutely. Great colors there.
And it was a dull day, but that's also a good day for photos. So the photos turned out great, and kind of I like that the clouds are kind of hiding the volcano. So you can just kind of see it's brilliant in any weather. So it didn't matter.
Did you have any altitude issues in Quito or Cotopaxi?
Not really, but I think I had come from Cusco. So I think anything that I dealt with was there. And we took medication, saw travel medicine people before we left. That's a great term.
She went to the witch doctor is what she's saying, everybody.
And then you can coca tea and things like that. So
Perfect.
we were fine in Cotopaxi.
Awesome.
There's a better shot.
Yeah. What was the weather like here? Can you remember the temperature or the feeling on your skin?
Little damp that day, but that was the only day while we were away that it was like that. So little cloud cover, a little cool that day. We had jackets on. Every other day we were in our bathing suits, basically. So there we are.
Excellent.
Yeah. And this is back at the hacienda. And this was a surprise for us. We did not know that they had a whole bunch of llamas. I love llamas. I even had some outside my house at Christmas. Blow up ones, not real ones, obviously. And so we got to feed the llamas after we had an amazing lunch there.
Well, I think we have a picture here of you feeding the llama.
There
What are you
you go.
feeding the llama?
Carrots. Yeah. And they came a running. They were loving that.
Oh,
I just love how they're all looking the same direction. You could just put a whole bunch of little bubbles, speech bubbles over their heads.
I think I'm going to do that. Stay tuned to my Facebook, everybody. Destination Whatever Travel.
There's a nice shot of the interior courtyard. It's just a beautiful place. You can actually stay there. It is a hotel, and the owners live there, and they welcome anyone, as I said earlier. But just fabulous people.
Ooh, there's from the title shot.
Yeah.
And take us inside. What happened here?
This was our dining room experience. You feel like you're in a medieval castle, actually. And then the servers came, and it was just our group that had dinner together. So just the 8 of us that were there. So it was lovely.
Do you remember what you ate?
Gosh, no. The soup started with the soup is about 4 courses, I think. Really good. I can't remember if that's when I had, sorry.
No, well, so much good food, and we trust me, when we get out onto the Santa Cruz, y'all are going to get hungry. I hope you ate beforehand. So look, you mentioned you're a flora photographer. Let's get going into some of your flora from the Galápagos. Let's start. Talk to us about what it was like on the beach.
So what's amazing about the Galápagos is each beach is completely different with different flora. So this was kind of a white sand beach. I think in a different season, you would see flowers on these vines on the beach, but just as they are, it was just so atmospheric and absolutely amazing. And you can see, like, I look like I'm the only person on that beach. I was not, but there aren't that many. We're small groups, which is fabulous. You have a guide that interprets everything, explains the wildlife. Any questions you have, they know how to answer them. And it was I just thought it was such a cool shot. This is a lava cactus. And I wish I knew which islands I'm on. I'm not that great. I should have really kept notes, but I was just so like, oh, look at this the whole time I was there. So
Totally.
yeah.
And just for our viewers to know, we took pictures from all over Michelle's itinerary and then grouped them into concepts for you. So you may be seeing stuff from day 4, day 1, day 2.
That's right.
But I also know a lot of times with expedition cruising, sometimes day 1 and day 3 can shuffle. And so when you're going on this type of trip, this is not uncommon, for example, to have little adjustments.
That's right. That's right.
Cool. I think we got another example of some lava cacti.
So these, I think, well, the 2 shots on the right are definitely the same island. You can see that cactus is not doing as well as the other. And then if you would zoom in on the shot with more rock, there is a cactus right in front of it as well. Cool. So the lava cactus is just amazing that they grow there because it just looks like it's complete rock. So, yeah.
And it's not possible to zoom in when we're in screen sharing, but for our viewers to know, if you want a copy of tonight's presentation by PDF, or that can be available. You just contact me afterwards. And also there'll be a video of tonight's presentation on my website shortly. On
the far left, just the rocks with the holes in them and the plants behind them, just just almost seems like you're on a moonscape or something. Just absolutely amazing.
More cacti?
Prickly pear is one of the names. There was a more scientific name for it, but the fact that it grows that tall, we have prickly pear cactus in Saskatchewan, but they grow very low to the ground and they look nothing like that. So just so cool. There's probably a shot later in the scenery where you'll see many trees like that in a row. And I think the one on the left, it looks like a morning glory to me. I'm not certain, but similar to some plants we have that just open up in the morning. And then I just love the light on the rocks with the vine. There's just life everywhere on the Galapagos. And you have to keep your eyes open because you'll miss things. Oh yes, this was fun. So thank you to Karen for letting me wear the blue-footed booby hat, because I was gonna cry if I didn't get to wear that one. So we had some adjustments to our itinerary when we were there, and we totally understood that because there was an avian flu on one of the islands and we could not see the red-footed boobies, which was sad, but we did not want to spread the avian flu anywhere else in the island. So we had to stay off that island. And so we did a turnaround, but our captain did not want us to miss crossing the equator. And so they went out of their way and got permission for us to cross the equator anyway and come back. So they invited us all into what is the technical term for the...
Well, that would be a bridge, my dear.
Thank you, the bridge.
Yes.
The bridge of the ship. And yeah, we could take pictures in there. We had champagne or mimosas. It was just fabulous. And
yeah, I mean, I don't want to split a hair, but you are technically in the northern hemisphere here, just a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was hard to capture all zeros.
Yeah. Was it like counting down for New Year's? And
kind of. Yes. I was focused on this and Karen was steering the ship. Although you'll see there was a picture, we might have taken it out. Oh, there. I'm like, who's manning this ship? So nobody really has to, of course, it's very much computerized, but there's our captain on the far left. Fabulous. He was very personable. They greeted us when we entered the ship. They made us feel at home and kept us informed of what was happening. And you can see surrounding him are some of our guides. That's Carla with the oh, now the bird name has gone right out of my head. One of the Galápagos 15. David's like, I don't know.
I'm not sure if
It'll
I can
come
help
to
you.
me
It will
later.
come to her.
I'll fill you
The
in
frigate.
Oh,
later. The what?
The frigate bird.
Thank you. The frigate. Yes.
yeah, frigate, if you couldn't
Frigate.
remember that bird. Ah, there you go. And I love your sign here. I like your latitude 0000000, right on the equator. That's pretty cool. There's not a lot of places, of course, in the world where you can step on the equator. They say that you lined up humans along the length of the equator, 70% of them would drown because so much of it's in the water, of course. So it's cool to have this in your experience.
Glad we're on a ship then.
Yeah, and of course, if anybody here has studied the Spanish language, you might have picked up the name Ecuador comes, of course, from equator. The name of the equator inspires this country. Let's take a look at some hats.
Yes. So there's the frigate, the blue-footed booby.
Yeah.
I might have to put my glasses
I think
on.
we got a flamingo here as well. And we've got a blue-footed booby.
And a tortoise, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And so on the far left, those are our guides. And so they came with the hats and then were generous enough to share them with us.
Wonderful.
So, yeah,
Well,
we're all together.
Great photo opportunities. Let's take a look at your experience, and we're gonna just look at it, first from the passenger lens, and then we'll of course go into a bit more of a deeper dive with Bernardo. But if I'm not mistaken, I think this is an Aperol Spritz.
Ooh, yes, it is. And you know what? It was my first ever.
It was.
I know, and it was the best.
Wonderful.
It was absolutely amazing. So
Well,
that's off the deck, just at sunset time.
looks like sunset.
Oh, so good.
This is sunset. This isn't a sunrise Aperol Spritz,
No, it
just
is
to make sure.
sunset.
Okay,
Sunset.
great. Well, let's show the people what life was like. Viva Ecuador. There's the flag. Do you know where this might have been taken or when on your trip?
Maybe night 2, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I imagine the flag is maybe what caught your eye on this one.
Yes. Trying to get it completely unfurled, but pretty
I like
close.
seeing the wake in the background as well too. let's take a look at what arriving on the Santa Cruz 2 looks like.
Yes.
And maybe you can talk to us about just the experience of arriving on the Galapagos. What's that like?
Well, first of all, you even just get to the airport and you get off the plane and you walk towards the entrance to check in. And the first thing we saw was a land iguana. And I'm like, Karen, we're here. And you can see water all around you. And I'm like, I cannot believe I'm here. Just amazing. So there's an entrance, kind of almost a tunnel, just a sunshade that you walk through into the airport. And then when we meet our guide, after we get through, I guess, customs, Carla was the one that met us, and we take our bags and they put them on the transport van, and then we don't go very far, and then we're getting on a panga. And right where we board on our trip to the ship was like a whole bunch of sea lions and now a lava iguana, and I'm like, oh my God, I haven't even started and I've seen so much. I loved it, every second of it. Yeah, exactly. It was a dream. It really was.
So you get over to the ship. Obviously, we can see the bags are being brought over, and of course, you're being brought over too. And then just what is it like your first few steps on the ship? How do you get to your room? How do you get underway with something like that?
Yes, well, I have never, this was my first ship experience, and I would go back to Hurtigruten in a heartbeat. Absolutely amazing. The crew were really friendly and kind. Our room was spotless. You can see that's our room in the middle. And that's kind of, you can almost see a view out of our cabin window. There's a bathroom. I did take a picture of the bathroom. I thought we probably don't need to see this.
No, a bathroom is a bathroom.
Bathroom, but I had to have a picture of everything. So our bags, we arrived in our room. I think we had a greeting in a common area first with the crew, and then we went to our rooms and our bags were already there for us.
As if by magic.
Yes. And I mean, and there's the corridor. I think that was us on our way for our first panga ride to an island. So we got on, our bags arrived. If we needed to change, we did that, and off we went to see our first island. So there's no waiting around. It was absolutely amazing.
Just go, go,
Go,
go.
go, go. And you weren't tired because it was just so exciting.
Wonderful. Well, all that equatorial sunshine. And just for our knowledge of our audience as well, the room that you see photographed here, those can be arranged with 2 beds if we need 2 beds, or we can have it set up, I guess what the Europeans like to call matrimonial style. I say that because some people I know that are married don't sleep in the same bed. But you just tell me what you need and we can have that room made up to suit you. Just as simple as that. Let's go ahead and take a look at the panga ride. You're talking so much about the pangas.
Yes.
Talk to us about pangas.
Okay, on the far left, I think that is us boarding our first panga to get to the ship. You can see the grins. We're just like, oh my gosh, here we go. It's fabulous. And then the other one is, I think you can see our driver. Oh my gosh, they're skilled. They're so skilled. Oh, I bought a blue-footed booby neck face protector.
Oh, yes.
And I have used it in Saskatchewan winter, but all of our panga drivers had them to protect themselves from the sun. So they kind of wear them up over here. So we were always excited when we got to see their whole face. Because it was like, who's driving this panga?
But that's a great tip, because I think sometimes when you're out on the water on an experience like this in a tropical part of the world, you can forget the fact that you are on the equator and the sun can be strong.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So lots of sunscreen and cover up sometimes.
But can we talk about the color of blue of that water and the blue of the sky? I mean,
I know.
So many shades of blue, huh?
Exactly.
Yeah.
There aren't enough pencil crayons in the world to cover those blues.
Just amazing. I think Mother Nature's finest accomplishment.
That's right. And the far right, that is Carla, I believe, and she is giving a lesson on the deep sea scuba divers. So they're getting a little lesson on what to do when they get off the panga.
Perfect. Let's keep going. I think we got a couple shots here of the pangas, because of course you probably were on the pangas every single day, I would imagine.
Absolutely, multiple times. And I liked getting the ship with the panga in view, because it just kind of takes you back and reminds you of what you were doing. So that's our crew again right there. And that is Fatima, who was our guide, and she was incredible. So your small group is assigned to a guide, but that doesn't mean you just see them exclusively. So we did get to see everybody. We lucked out when we were on the ship. There weren't as many passengers as sometimes. So we had lots of attention given to us. I don't think it would matter if it was a full ship, you would still have great attention, but Fatima was fabulous.
So like walk us through, like, how do you get onto the Panga? How are you getting from Santa
Ah.
Cruz onto the Panga?
Yes, so I think there's probably a shot of the end of the Panga going onto the ship, and maybe it got deleted, but you can see us just leaving there. So and I'm not a ship person, so the back end of a boat, stern.
We'll just keep calling it a ship. It's not a boat, dear.
Did I say boat? I'm so sorry. The ship. Is that the stern, the back?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So the stern, obviously I'm not a maritimer. Prairie girl. So the Panga would back up and then you would come down the stairs. There's a person on the stair of the ship and someone standing on the Panga, and they teach you how to grab hands and link arms, and then they just kind of pull you down and you step down. There's no fear of falling in ever. So,
Right.
yeah.
I think that's the seaman's grip is one of the
Perfect.
ways they refer to that.
Sounds good to me.
And then the back of a ship as well. I would know that as the aft. Have you ever heard that?
Yes, fore and aft.
Yeah, fore and aft. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Let's keep going and take a look at coming ashore.
Yes, so they would bring you in quite close. Sometimes you'd have what's called a wet landing, and sometimes it would be dry. So this would be a wet landing, and you kind of just swing your legs over the side of the Panga and drop in. So they would let you know ahead of time what kind of landing it would be, and often we would take our footwear off on the Panga and just carry them and jump down into the water, or it depended on your footwear.
Right.
So if you're wearing hiking boots, obviously you're gonna take them off, but often you were in your water shoes or your, yeah.
Is that what you took for footwear?
I had a pair of hiking boots, runners, and sandals that were waterproof. That was it.
And she did it all with carry-on,
Yep,
folks.
carry-on's the way to go.
Yeah, that's a separate Zoom for
Oh,
a separate evening.
And the ship has laundry facilities.
Mhm.
So that's something good to know, especially if you're doing carry-on. And you're maybe doing a 2-week cruise, because I would do that next time.
Well,
And I think I'll go back.
well, we're talking about clothing and packing details. I mean, what did you wear in general on this ship? Did you feel that you needed to dress up, or could you be casual? What did you wear?
I was very casual. I'm kind of a casual girl anyway. You do not need to dress up on the ship. Some people brought something that was a little dressier, but you didn't look out of place and nobody judges.
Great.
Yeah.
Perfect. So you can be prepared for those kind of active moments
That's
for
right.
a trip like this. Cool. And here's an example. We can see people dressed quite casually with their life vests on.
Yes, and this was the glass bottom boat, which is one of the options you can do. So you'll always have a guide on the boat. And there's benches on either side of a clear glass that you can look through to all the wildlife that's in the water. And kayaking, another option, depending on the waters and where you are. So of course, safety is important, and Hurtigruten makes sure that everyone's safe. So
cool. The mothership.
The mothership. That's a great shot, actually.
It is.
If I do say so myself.
It is. It is. Well, we can certainly get that over
Yeah.
to head office, but that's what I
That's
liked
what I
about
like.
this too.
Yeah, and a pelican on the rock there.
Few more pictures of the mothership. Any
Oh yeah,
memories come to life here for
you
you?
can see the stairs coming off the
Off the aft there. Yeah.
yeah.
In the Santa Cruz,
Mhm.
Puerto Ayora, Galápagos Islands. Beautiful stuff.
Yes, and then just the ship from the beach and from the Panga.
Some big deck energy.
Absolutely.
So tell us about the deck. When would you go there? What sort of things would you do? How did this play a part of your voyage?
Well, for me, I was kind of, the deck is an option anytime, but I would always choose, there were different presentations on ecosystems, or one day we looked at the clouds and we helped do some scientific studies with clouds. So I would always choose those things. So I didn't get to go to the deck much. I probably chose that between getting off the Panga and supper, and I would go to the deck or the hot tub.
Well,
Hot tub was our favorite, I think.
I think we might have a
Oh,
shot
yeah.
of that
There it
coming up
is.
here.
And I must say, the crew, they just know everything. Karen and I were there one day, and one of the bartenders walked by and he came back and he goes, "Would you ladies like a drink?" And we said, "Oh, we'd love a drink." I said, "Do you need our room number?" He goes, "No, room 111. And I'm like, oh, he knows where we are. He even knew my drink. So there you go.
But it's that small, intimate,
Yeah.
cozy. This is not big ship. I mean, that type of ship does not belong at this part of the
No,
world.
it does not.
No.
This is the way to go.
Yeah. You know, I just love that picture of you folks, and I like this one also just because we can see the Santa Cruz on the life ring as well in the background as well.
Yeah.
So this looks like it was a nice way to wind down after a day.
This is what we would do before dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it like sleeping on the ship?
Oh, I slept like a baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so smooth. So the ship would move at night to the next island and you wouldn't even know you were moving. So it was just great.
Wonderful.
Comfortable beds, everything was great.
Good, good, good. Well, you need that rest for all the energy of going around the islands, and you need good food to get around and have the energy. So let's talk about food and drink on board.
Oh my gosh, you'll never go hungry on Hurtigruten. Every meal was amazing. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. They would come at breakfast and you would choose which item off the menu you would like for lunch. And then at lunch, you would choose what you would like for dinner. Lots of options for anyone, for any diet. The crew were so incredible at looking after your every need. We had, on the far left was our waiter who brought us everything and looked after us. He would basically kind of just hover in the background. You wouldn't know he's there until you needed something, and then he was there.
Wonderful.
And there's that was a cocktail party, and those gentlemen are getting drinks ready.
A very important job.
Very important, yes. And there's our crew at dinner. That was our table. And there's a lot of the crew, including the captain, that might have been our introduction.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. And
one of our
again,
meeting rooms.
We can just tell with the style of travel, the sustainable, the local, the fact that we have a number of folks that are from the local area. There's local employment. This is supporting the local economy. This isn't the type of tourism that sucks money out of a destination, rather quite the opposite. And this is the sort of travel that we want to promote, especially here with Destination Whatever.
That's right.
Yes. Okay, let's keep trucking. A little bit more food and drinks. I think, is this a pisco sour that I see?
It is pisco sour. We had that a number of times. Lovely drink. Everyone has to try it when they're in Ecuador.
Wonderful.
And that was my pasta meal. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I can taste it now. It was very good.
Yum. Me too. And I wasn't even there. Crazy.
David said earlier he would eat that every night. And I said, yeah, I could too.
I will when I'm on this ship. Start boiling the pot. I'm coming. Let's talk about your desserts, because
and the presentation of the meals. You're like at a Michelin, restaurant. Everything came like that's how they come. I think we're even clinking our desserts there in that picture.
I think you are.
Yeah.
I wanted to include this picture for our audience today because, again, I wanted to just come back to the lifestyle on board, that this is an expedition trip. And so you can be wearing a t-shirt, you're not wearing your cummerbund, it's not the captain's dinner on the Titanic, it's not that type of water travel at all. Because you need to be, you're going out, you're in nature, and you can be comfortable. So I think that's just great. It makes this type of travel really accessible. Let's get into, you have a scenery section here for us. Is there anything about this title shot that you'd like to tell us?
Just that I had to capture, I would have a long time ago brought things home with me. And of course, you don't want to take anything out of nature. You need to leave it where it is. So now I take photographs of everything I think is incredible. And I love rocks. I don't know where that came from. But I do love rocks. And then just the beach and doing that portrait shot with, you can just see the grains of sand are different colors in this one. So there was a white sand beach, and then there's kind of multi-grains, but still, just a little brown. Then there's a red beach, like, oh my gosh.
Well, we got some pictures
everywhere.
of that. So let's work our way up here.
This was our airport. Yeah. So I mentioned earlier how you arrive and you get off the plane and then you're walking. You're now in the Galápagos. And it's just, I was so excited. Look at that water. Oh my goodness. It's so clear.
Yes.
Like we would swim in the water and you would see a sea turtle would go right by you, or a seal. And you're like, you could touch them, or they kind of just skim right by it. It's just, it's magical. Sunset. Yeah. Oh my goodness. This might have been our first day.
Oh, so we'd say on the East Coast, red sky at night, sailor's delight. What a beautiful sight to see.
Yeah.
Beautiful
the black
water.
lava rocks. Yeah, just, and you could just see another tiny island just past there.
Mm.
Yeah. And that sand was so soft. I can feel it right now.
It looks like talcum.
It does. It
Yeah.
was absolutely soft and clear. The water was so clear. Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful. Good stuff. Let's take a look at the cactus walk that you did, and maybe you can tell us what that experience was like. The cactus walk.
Oh, and the water. Look at the
Yeah.
color of the water against the red. Yeah, just amazing.
It almost looks like a Salvador Dali painting, just like
It does
something
actually.
crazy. So what was this walk like, and can anybody do this sort of walk, or do you have to be a physical athlete? What would you tell our audience?
No, you don't need to be a physical athlete. The trickier bit might have been just getting off the panga onto the rocks, because you did have to crawl over some before you could get to the stairs, but the stairs are very maneuverable. We had some elderly people in our group and they managed just fine on this walk. And then the vistas at the end, just great.
Genovese Island,
Mm-hmm.
beautiful picture here.
Yeah.
And
This is the
landscape.
terrain of that lava cactus. So this would be the terrain it was growing in. It just looks like nothing should grow there, and yet it still can.
And there's such a diversity we're seeing in the
Yes.
islands. It's not
Yes.
like just one note. Every island.
Yeah. And even if you went back to the same island another day, it's going to be totally different, because you're going to see different wildlife and have a different experience. On this one, you can just see the Sally Lightfoot crabs, the red marks on the black there.
Cool.
I'm fascinated by them. Luckily, we didn't have 5 hours for this. You would have been watching all my videos of crabs crawling and
Oh my
birds flying. It's like, oh.
Crabs and boobies,
Yeah.
get them here at the Hurtigruten Expeditions,
That's
Galápagos Island.
Oh, yeah.
Egas Port in Santiago Island.
Yes, lots of sea lions on this island.
Beautiful ship in the background as
Beautiful
well.
ship. Yeah.
And Rabita Beach.
Rabita Beach was just so unique for the color of the sand. You'll see a shot, there it is. Just look at the grains of the sand there. It's just so incredible, so bright. And then just the white seashell on the sand. I'm always trying to see everything I can. And then I'm like, I'm sure my family go, oh, another seashell. I have to look at these.
I love this picture of you as well, because it celebrates you. This is your retirement trip, everybody. But tell us about where you are. What are we looking at here?
Well, good question. We might have to ask our Hurtigruten expert, but we all took a picture of this pinnacle rock.
Yeah.
See, the details have left me, but the magic has remained. My hat, it was a great choice. I don't know if I'm loving looking at myself in this hat, but it was a fabulous hat for this trip, because it kept the sun off of my face and my head. And it's easy, it bends in any suitcase. Oh, there's the boobies.
Yes, we got some pictures of some boobies. Let's
So incredible. Learned so much. So with the blue-footed boobies.
we'll go back to that.
Yeah,
Yep.
go back to them, because I don't know if you can see, but I have I'll show you later. My phone case is blue-footed boobies, and I have a necklace and a bracelet and my t-shirt. The boobies, their feet are more blue. They're older. The older they are, the bluer their feet will be, and it comes from the food they eat. The
Okay.
fish they eat.
Okay.
Mhm.
Interesting. Wonderful. And yeah, I'll take a picture of Michelle's booby jewelry, and I'll put that on
Okay.
Destination Whatever Travel on Facebook and Instagram. So just take a look at the social media
Good
afterwards.
thing you finished that sentence.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, let's get our mind out of the gutter. Let's talk about these majestic creatures, the tortoises. I want to hear about your tortoise experiences.
The Galápagos tortoise. So this is a reserve for the tortoise to help keep them healthy. On the bus trip from the ship, or I guess ship Panga to the island, and then the bus trip from there to here, you could see tortoises in the fields, in the farmers' fields, and you're like, wait a minute, is that a tortoise? Oh my gosh, that's so cool. They had a shell of a tortoise, as you can see. I look quite agile that I actually got in that, but oh my gosh, that was hard.
Yeah, someone's been to the yoga studio here.
Right.
And what do we
Definitely.
see in the sand here?
Those, I believe, are sea turtle tracks from one of the islands. So we did actually see a Galápagos tortoise on an island, and the guides were thrilled, because that isn't a common sight. So there is a picture later, I think, showing it hidden in the trees. There's Karen and I trying to keep our distance and yet get as close as we can to our tortoise.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And I wanted to show the audience this one just to gain appreciation for the size of this creature next to you.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, they're incredible creatures. They just look so ancient. I think there's a close-up of one of the heads. Is there in the mud?
I'm not
Did
sure if we have
look
that tonight, but if it's
Yeah.
not here, I'll throw it on the website afterwards. And can you make a tortoise sound for us?
No. You can, go ahead.
No, I'm not going to. I think I have some stockpile of that elsewhere, but anyway. So just to wind down on the tortoises, a few more of these lovely, lovely creatures, but there's so much to look at. Let's give the sea lion some love here, Michelle.
Yes. And I will apologize if you're a huge nature fan and I've got sea lion under fur seal. So I was Googling and I'm looking at pictures and I'm like, I think they're all sea lions. I don't know. But the sea lions were almost on every island we came to. And also I have a lot of video of them as well. But here's one just basking in twilight, basically, kind of the end of the day here.
We'll send those videos over. We'll put those on the website. We're putting it all on the website, everybody. It's all there.
Look at them. So
Yeah.
adorable.
Just love that.
And for a creature that is on land, looks awkward, but in the water, just butter.
Well, look
Yeah.
at this picture here
Yeah.
of the sea lion in the water.
Yeah.
There's not even like a ripple coming. No.
Just they're so graceful, and just kind of the look on his face on the far left, playing hide and seek almost.
I love that. And I love on the right too, with the rocks and one in the
Yeah,
water
one
and
in the
one
water.
perched. Yeah.
Again, we could have speech bubbles.
Starfish and the clarity of
Yes.
that water.
I know, just incredible. This was actually taken from the glass bottom boat. I did not have a waterproof camera, but if you should have one, if you're going to go and do some diving, a waterproof camera would be fabulous to have because you capture so much. Those are little reef sharks on the left,
Mm-hmm.
also from the boat, actually. And then that is a white, not a great white shark, but I think it's called a white shark.
Mhm.
And that was off the aft of the ship. And the last night we were there, actually, it's lucky that passengers share information, but off the aft of the ship were all these brown pelicans and these, I think they called them, were they sunfish, jumping out of the water, and the sharks. And they were all just hovering around the back and circling. And so we just stood there for probably an hour watching and videoing and just enraptured by it all.
It's like you're done with your excursions, you go back to the mothership, and the Galapagos is like, hold my beer, I've got more for you tonight.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah,
over.
exactly. Let's look at some iguana.
Here's one of the land iguanas. Now there's two types of land iguanas and I can't tell the difference between them. That first one was the very first iguana we saw walking into the airport after we landed. And then I wanted to have this shot in so you could see how camouflaged they are. So behind that fallen tree is an iguana and they're just so camouflaged in their environment. There he is. And so ancient looking, just prehistoric.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I love them.
And I didn't know there were different types of iguana as well until I went through your pictures. So we'll just move ahead so we
And
can
the
look at a
colors,
lava.
yeah, here's your lava iguana. So that was a portrait shot, just kind of got the head in. But again, you can see the different sand, the terrain. There's a lava lizard, and they were different sizes and different colors and everywhere. Like you had to watch where you were walking because you didn't want to step on anything. That shows you the size. He's a big guy. And you can see just how that island looks so different. So you'd come off the beach and there'd be a lagoon behind, some shrubbery.
Flora and fauna, dear. Flora and fauna.
That's right.
Here's a pile of lava iguanas.
Yes.
Look at that. That's cool to see. And then I associate this crab with the Galapagos.
Absolutely.
Tell us about this.
So the Sally Lightfoot crabs are pretty much on every island I think we were on, and they're fascinating. So sometimes there'd be a whole bunch of them there or just one or two on their own. Some are more colorful than the others. So these ones have more of the red, some have the blue. Hope there's a few of those in here.
I'm not sure. I think for tonight we just have these two here. But
They look like they're playing follow the leader there.
maybe. But if you want blue, here's another crack at the boobies, folks.
Yeah,
Yes,
boobies.
we got a pair of boobies. But you know, Michelle, what's better than a pair of boobies?
I think, is it a trio of boobies?
You're right. It's a trio of boobies. Here's 3 boobies.
Oh gosh,
Yeah, look at that.
they're just beautiful. And those were taken from the panga.
Oh, wonderful.
Mhm. Yeah,
A yellow warbler.
yellow warbler. Yeah.
Wonderful. Did you know it was a yellow warbler, or do your guides point this sort of stuff
The
out?
guides point these things out for sure. I would have known the booby, but the others, no, needed some help. Brown
Wonderful.
pelican. Just happened to catch that one in flight. Just look at its wingspan.
Just
Absolutely
amazing.
beautiful.
Oh, the warbler again. But I
Yeah.
wanted to get to this one. Great blue heron.
Oh, we saw a number of great blue herons, and they're just such a beautiful bird.
And speaking of those legs, here we have the legs in a flamingo.
Yes, in one of the lagoons, there were, I think we had 4 or 5 one day, in one of the lagoons, and just watching them eat and how their beak would stir up the water.
Oh,
And you can see the tiny picture Dave's put in there is a flamingo egg. So it had been abandoned, and the guides had just put stones around it to show us what it would look like. So we
Wonderful.
could see. Yeah, because you wouldn't want to disturb the nest of anything on the island. Oh, we were so lucky to see the Galapagos hawk. Not every group of tourists coming through would get to see this.
I didn't even know they had penguins there.
Oh, penguins. And there's the Sally Lightfoot crabs with the penguin there. That's one of my screensavers. This penguin, oh my goodness. It's the second smallest penguin in the world,
Mhm.
next to the fairy penguin or blue penguin of New Zealand.
Wonderful.
So, and I didn't think that close to the equator. I guess I should have known being in New Zealand, but
I've been
there
in
were
travel
penguins.
for like forever, right? And I associate these animals with Antarctic waters, not equatorial waters. So
now, if there's any children in the audience, the other 2, there's actually another penguin behind that one, and they were having some fun.
oh, wonderful.
Yeah, and that was cool to see as well.
Little hanky panky.
Hanky-panky with penguins.
I can't think of a better way to wind down, Michelle. Thank you for talking to us about your journey. And I'm just going to keep the vibe going. So we're going to make the most use of our time together. And Bernardo, if you want to flick your microphone on and get ready, I'm going to switch to your slides, and then just direct me when you need me to move forward, please. But otherwise, if you'd like to introduce yourself, I'll turn it over to you now.
Thank you very much. And Michelle, that was great. I'm so happy that you had such a great time in the Galapagos and you saw so many things. You know, teachers are a huge draw for Galapagos. We get a lot of teachers in the summer, obviously, and they save up to travel to Galapagos. It's one of the, when we done studies on who travels to Galapagos, teachers are really up there, which is great. And I am so jealous that you got to see a Galapagos hawk. My gosh, that's great. That's great. So we can move to the next slide, and I'll introduce myself. I'm Bernardo Carrillo. I lead the Galapagos commercial strategy, and I also lead some groups for our travel partners. I've been involved with the Galapagos for most of my career. That spans over 30 years. So I know a lot of it. I've traveled to the Galapagos many times, over 100 times, and just love it. Every time I go, I see something different. I experience something different. It's my favorite place to go, even though sometimes it's just for work and it's a long trip to get there, but it's definitely worth it. Next slide. Yep. Just wanted to let you know, we mentioned Hurtigruten, and by the way, Michelle, kudos on the pronunciation. It was great. The Galapagos piece for us is in our HX brand, the Hurtigruten Expeditions. In 2021, we purchased into a company in the Galapagos in Ecuador called Metropolitan Touring. They're the ones that have been in the Galapagos the longest out of any expedition company, which is perfect with our sort of our history, expedition history, and they operate the vessel. We are partners with them there, and a very well-known company, and just happy to be there with them. The next slide. So who we are, we're experts in expeditions since 1896. So we have a rich history alongside with our partners, Metropolitan. They have a rich history as well. So it's a good partnership. We've travelers who travel to Galapagos, and I'll show this more in the next slide when it comes, are curious travel. So and it's made for curious travels. We do the science programs. We do learning. You know, the lectures that you received from the guides, from the naturalists, are amazing. We want you to feel and touch the destination, and not just stay on the ship, right? And we build any program we go to, the first thing we look at is itineraries and destination, and secondary is the ship. But we do it well, and you'll see why. And this is exactly. If you can go up to the back, the back to the other slide. And then we're also leaders in mindful adventure, and what that really means is that we are the leaders in sustainability cruising, basically, or the expedition cruising. We built the first two hybrid vessels. We're the greenest fleet. We have the greenest fleet in the industry, and we're just going to continue to move that along. And for Galapagos, we do run a zero carbon emission with offsets. So it's fantastic what we do. You can go to the next slide. So I'll go just quickly here. Just the HX product that we offer is it's fundamental in three tiers. It's expedition experience. We have the best of the best in regards to guides and equipment, maritime expertise. We have within our ranks, we have leaders of different organizations that monitor tourism in these areas, so it's great. And then we have also, obviously, the cruise industry's greenest fleet, like I mentioned before. And onboard experience is super important for us. You know, we want you to be comfortable. It's an expedition program. We don't want you to think about the ship. We want you to think about destination, but it's always great to come back to a comfortable bed, a lot of amenities. You're not gonna be roughing it. And it's our heritage that provides that. Next slide. So I love this. This is the way we market ourselves, that our ships are the perfect balance of expedition, onboard comfort, and sustainability. That's our company in one sentence, basically. Next slide. So how does that translate to Galapagos? And Michelle's when she saw the ship and how you get to the Galapagos, that's one thing. And she experienced some of the sort of the touches that Metropolitan ourselves have done in the Galapagos. Like I mentioned, they're been in the Galapagos for a long time, really know what they're doing. They have generations of naturalists that have worked for them, like the daughters and sons, and now I think we even have grandparents that have worked with us on the ship. So they stay with us. They like to work with us, and they're fantastic people. We have the lowest guest to naturalist ratio in the Galapagos, and because of our size of ship and the way we operate, we do have more ways to immerse yourself in the Galapagos, our guests in the Galapagos. Best wildlife permits, and I'll get to that in a little bit. We've won some awards recently. Cruise Critics picked for the best science offering. It's one of our pillars. Darwin, the itinerary that we have got the best family expedition. The ship, if you have families if you ever book with a family, we have 36 interconnected cabins. So it's amazing if you want to bring family or group of friends or whatnot. Very good. Next slide. So this is something that, Michelle, you probably saw in some areas. This was, by the way, Bartolome, where you were with Pinnacle Rock. That's the name of the island, with Pinnacle Rock. It's the most pictured island in the Galapagos. You go there, and in most cases, you're the only ship there if you're a 90 to 100 passenger ship, because those are the largest ones. If you're not, If you're in a small vessel, like 16 passengers or whatnot, then you're going to be there with 4 or 5 or 6 other vessels, because the way the national park approves the itineraries is by the number of visitors at each site. So it's advantageous to be on a larger vessel, because then you kind of control all the passengers. We have more options, we have more guides, that we can do a lot more than trying to fight for space with the other smaller vessels that are there. So more shore options, better guest experience all around, and better for the environment as well. As you can see, less anchorage for the seafloor. Next slide. We also, and this is, I'm showing these slides because there's different types. When you start to do your research on Galapagos, you'll see, oh, there's like small vessels and medium-sized vessels and larger vessels. Which one's the best one for me? And it's not just because we actually operate a larger vessel. In my history, it's just a better way to see the Galapagos. You have more guides on the larger vessels, not just one guide, which limits you to one type of excursion when you're there in certain places. When you have more guides, you can do kayaking, you can do snorkeling, you can do, depending on what the itinerary is you're allowed to do with the itinerary on that location. So you have more options. Also, the guest space ratio for the ship for the Santa Cruz 2 is one of the largest in the Galapagos. The ship was actually built for 130 guests, and we only have 90 guests in the Galapagos. So there's a lot of space that we were able to get to public spaces. Typical GSR is approximately a 28% ratio, and we're like at almost 30. So it's really nice. And you mentioned the waves a little bit. Imagine being on a small vessel, the sort of rolling waves, those yacht type of vessels. They move, and we're more stable. So it's a much easier, nicer experience. You get used to it very quickly. Next slide. So what we offer is the complete itineraries. Metropolitan did a fantastic job at selecting the itineraries and getting those approved. They were made to see the Big 15, which you mentioned. These are endemic or non-endemic, but the sort of like the fauna that you need to see, right, in the Galapagos. And I'm sure you saw a lot of them. I think you went to the North itinerary, right? The one that should have gone to Genovesa. That has great things. You saw the Galapagos hawk, which is amazing. You saw the penguins that you see there, and just in any itinerary that you go with this, you touch as many of those Big 15 as possible, which is fantastic. And I feel like we have, as far as the company and itineraries, we probably have the best itineraries in the market, because they were selected for this reasoning to see the most wildlife, which is one of the reasons you're in Galapagos. And we do have flexible itineraries. Next slide. So just quickly, seasonal highlights. I'm not going to go over this. I'm just showing you this because it doesn't matter when you go, you'll see something amazing, right? It's like, if you can only travel in the summer, don't worry about it. Don't sweat it. You'll see something amazing. Doesn't matter. Galapagos is a full year destination. And, I can get into the nitty gritty, but it's just an amazing destination. One month you might see birds courting, and the next month you might see, if you go another month, you'll see the hatchlings coming out. So it's like, it's give or take. So it's a nice place to go in that sense. Next slide. So this is what you can do in the Galapagos. Michelle, you probably did all of these things, but you have the Zodiac landings, wet or dry. The dry ones, I don't believe you went into Puerto Llora. That's when you would do a dry landing when you go into the town. Guided hikes, nature walks, snorkeling, kayaking, paddle boarding, obviously wildlife watching, glass bottom boating outings. You have document presentations, and obviously lectures and science activities. So there's a lot to do. It's a jam-packed itinerary. Next slide. And this is what the itinerary looks like. This is one of our itinerary. I think it's the 6-night itinerary. So, but you're doing something in the morning. You wake up, have breakfast, go do your activity, come back, have lunch, have a little siesta time. The vessel moves to another location, get out there, do it again, and then you do so much, and you have the energy because it's just amazing, because you're going to see something different in the morning or in the afternoon. But you come back, you have dinner, and you're out. Like go to bed because you've done so much. And And it's just wonderful to have every day be like that, you know. And like you said, you want to go for longer now, Michelle. You know, that's the sentiment that a lot of people have when they go to the Galapagos. Like, I wish I had more time there. So it's fantastic. Next slide. So I'm going to talk about the itineraries a little bit. Next slide. So this is they're all my favorite. So I'm not going to say this is one of my favorites, because I always say, but I'll tell you one. My favorite is just, you'll see why. But this one's fantastic. I love this one for families. This touches on two actual cultural points. Two in Puerto Ayora, which is right in the middle in the island of Santa Cruz. That's where the Charles Darwin Research Station is. It's a wonderful place. We spend the day there. We go to the reserve, a tortoise reserve that you saw, Michelle, on the other itinerary. And we have lunch there. It's just a wonderful experience. And then you actually go to Española, where the wave albatross would be. Really nice itinerary. We do the 2 nights like you did in Quito. Just to clarify something, as of April 1st of this year, instead of doing Cotopaxi in the market, we're actually going to do a Quito City tour with the equator and lunch. That we're just changing that itinerary a little bit. Just people asked for it, we delivered. But always 2 nights before in Quito, and then you get to Galapagos and you do your itinerary. This is actually a 6-night itinerary. So wonderful itinerary. Next slide. And this is my favorite itinerary, just because it combines 2 of the 4-night itineraries, but it's the best, I'm telling you. Like, I know I can't quantify this legally or anything, but this is the best itinerary in the Galapagos. It really is amazing. You go to 29 different visitation points in this itinerary, the most out of any. I did the math, and I spent like 2 days comparing itineraries, and none of the other lines offer as many visitation points in one itinerary. It's 8 nights long. The cruise is, with 2 nights in Quito, makes the departure 11 days. It's a beautiful itinerary. You combine the north itinerary that Michelle did that goes up to Genovesa. Right now, with the avian flu, we have an alternate. But when it comes back, it's an amazing destination where you can see the red-footed boobies you missed, unfortunately. But you do the northern itinerary, and then you do the western itinerary with Isabela and Fernandina. You know, Fernandina and Isabela are the youngest islands. They're the ones that have a little bit more volcanic activity sometimes. That's where you see the flightless cormorants, you know, birds that just can't leave. So they're there all the time. Just a wonderful itinerary. You see Floriana, Post Office Bay, where the whalers used to drop mail for the east-going ships, and the west-going ships, you know, would just deliver the mail. We still do that now. You drop a card, and then somebody will pick it up, says, oh, I live in Canada. I'll send this over to this person that left the left the postcard there for this. So it's a wonderful experience. I think this is a great itinerary. If you have the 11 days, do this. The next slide. And so this is the Western itinerary standalone, 4 nights cruise, 2 nights in Quito, so making the whole program 7 days. Again, going to the western side, you do get Puerto Ayora in this itinerary as well, and Floriana, the historic Floriana. There's some books that you can pick up to read some history and some murder mysteries about Galapagos that happen in Floriana. So pick that up. And the next slide is the nature and wildlife cruise. This is the cruise that Michelle did. Wonderful. It is all about nature and wildlife. You saw so many things on that itinerary. That's crazy. But yeah, that's why it's nature and wild. That's what we call it, nature and wildlife. You see a lot of things on this one. And this is what she did, the itinerary, just so everyone can focus. Wonderful itinerary. Next slide. So a little bit about the ship, Santa Cruz 2. We came in when we purchased into Metropolitan, and we refurbished the ship in 2021. We added our Scandinavian touches to the decor, upgraded it. Wonderful vessel. And it is environmentally sustainable because her operation is carbon neutral. That's what, you know, we try to have an angle somewhere on this. This is what we can do for this vessel. Next slide. Staterooms, you saw Michelle's room, you know, has the similar colors. We have 3 types of categories. We have explorer cabins, we have family cabins, and then we have the suites, different explorer cabins on different decks, but all well appointed. Again, if you need a triple, we have 5 triples that we can accommodate. There are 3 of them are suites, and there are 2 that are family cabins. So, and with all the interconnecting cabins. So it's just a lot of room for everyone. And we have 50 cabins for 90 guests. So we have some additional cabins for singles as well. Next slide. Onboard amenities, you saw the jacuzzi, well-used jacuzzi during Michelle's trip. Then you have the outside decks that are fantastic. We have a little gym set up. And then in the interior, for some reason, it didn't get a picture of the lounge in the Science Center, but we do have that as well on this vessel. Next slide. This is our Abigo restaurant. It's fits everyone comfortably. Great food. You can go to the next slide and show you a little bit of what we deliver. It's basically 3-course buffet meals. We have options for vegetarians and vegans, gluten-free options as well, meat, seafood, pasta. It's good food, and everybody sources the same food in Galapagos. So there isn't one line or another that has better food or better ingredients, because Galapagos is regulated. You cannot bring raw meat to the Galapagos, for example. You either have to have cows that are there, which are not, or try to bring the beef sous vide a little. So you have to. You have to get creative, and we do, and it's fantastic food. You really have some great gourmet stuff, and that's one of our pillars as well. Is in for HX is good food, which is important to fuel your expedition. So, next slide. So here, I know Dave wanted me to sort of go into why expedition cruising and who travels with us, or who we believe is traveling with us. So first, expedition cruising, it's the best way to see a destination. You get immersed. It's not about the ship you're in, it's about the destination you're in, and that's the important thing. Outstanding natural beauty, that's what you're there for. It does feed the curious individual. If you just want to do, which is you're perfectly fine to do Caribbean and whatnot, but if you want to venture a little bit outside, and if you're curious about something, do expedition cruising. It's game changing, it's life changing, it's amazing. And Dave's even said that you got to expect the unexpected. In some cases, what was on the itinerary for day 3 is not what you're doing, and in most cases it's because there's something better to do, right? Or the captain says, we got a bunch of whales over there, we got to go there, right? So that's what expedition cruising is about. You have to have sort of some flexibility, because you are going to get a great experience, and it is one of the fastest growing segments in the travel as well. So next slide. So this is curious travelers. So people who usually take 2.3 a trip every 2.3 years. Not sure how COVID has affected that, but that's the normal track. They're active, curious, like I mentioned before, and it's. I feel it's a mixture of adventure, relaxation, and indulgence. It's got to be a mixture to me, and that's how they feel. They like the adventure more, but hey, you always come back to a good bed and good food, and that's important. Willing to spend some money, save some money. Teachers saved a lot of money to go to Galapagos. It's like bucket list destination, and have and usually you do your research, right? You have a destination in mind. You research it before you contact your travel agency to book it. So it's so you got to be prepared. And Galapagos is a very also very destinations that gets a lot of research before people travel there. Next slide. And then we have a modern day explorer, similar. They want science and education over entertainment. So, and we don't do much entertainment on our vessels. It is science and education. And we, in an active exploration, they want to come back changed, right? And that's what Galapagos does to you. You come back changed. And every time I've gone, that's what I do. Even from the worst experience that I had to the best. Like when I went to Bartolome for the first time, I went with my family, and I didn't go on a cruise. I stayed in a hotel, and I had to I got transferred over to a pier and took a fast boat to Bartolome from the airport. And it was like the busiest ride I ever took. It was like, because the waves, and it was hard. 3 hours later, I'm in Bartolome. going, what did I get myself into? And all of a sudden, I saw a penguin, I saw a sea lion, I saw a turtle, a water turtle, a sea turtle, just swimming around me, and it changed me. I was like, this is so great. Okay, it was worth the 3-hour bumpy ride. But with us, when you go on the cruise, you're not taking that bumpy ride. You're in a comfortable setting. You got to see the Galapagos on a cruise, because you get to see more of the Galapagos and are not rushing to other destinations, to other islands. Next slide. The offer that we have here, it's a BOGO, buy one, get one for Galapagos. It's on sale now. We launched it in this Monday. Any itinerary, any cabin type, through March 31st. So it's one of our best deals. We did this last year as well, and it did so well. And this is the time to do it. And we have space in 2024. These are for departures that are from April to about September, so Q2, Q3. If you got time to go, this is the time, and this is the best deal that we can offer. Just book it through, Dave, and you will get to Galapagos. Next slide. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. Before we get into our questions, I just want to let our audience know that we have some upcoming travel talks, the details of which can be found on my website. Just zip on over to destinationwhatever.com, and if you go to the travel info section, you can get information on any upcoming travel presentations. You can RSVP for the Zoom link if you are going to be coming to the presentation from Zoom, or if you'd like to send it to a friend. And if you've missed a previous travel talk, they are recorded and uploaded to the website, so you can also find those on the travel info section. So just head on over. Someone told me the other day they were listening to me at 2 o'clock in the morning when they couldn't sleep. That was nice. I was asleep. Look, I'm going to tell you what's coming down the pipe. We've done the Galapagos tonight. Next week, I'm taking you down under. We're going to Australia, everybody. Just like Oprah, I'm taking my whole audience to Australia. And you're invited to go down under with me. That's a 30-minute Monday evening express presentation. Got another 30-minute express presentation in March. I've been getting requests for Newfoundland and Labrador. How's she going, by? She getting all my accents tonight? Well, guess what? I'm going to give you that presentation in 30 minutes. It's the hottest domestic destination right now. We're going to look at exploring Newfoundland and Labrador. We're going to look at land itineraries. We're going to look at circumnavigations and just break down this Canadian province for you. Then March 13th, I'm back with the Indian Head Library series. I'll be talking about my expedition river cruise to the Amazon jungle last summer. That was a lot of fun, and especially if you love the nature vibes and going out and getting wild, but coming back and having a comfortable oasis, that was my trip. And then finally, the Netherlands. We're getting ready for tulip season. We're going to take a trip over to Netherlands, March 25th. This is me, Destination Whatever. That's where you're going to find me on my website. You know what I do. That's what my website looks like. I'm going to have all the deals for you, the info, the unique journeys. Certainly, Hurtigruten and HX inspires the unique journeys category. Take a look at my video, looking for an awesome travel agent. Yes, that's me stumbling into a field of marijuana up in Bhutan, but it's a fun little video that was recently recognized for its outgoing, humorous nature. In that 1-minute clip, I take you to 5 or 6 countries all over a bunch of continents. And I got a great little video up there for Australia, again, getting us in the mood for our trip down under next week. If you need to reach me, again, my website, destinationwhatever.com is where you can start. There's also my email address for a direct message. Feel free to get in touch. And before I end the screen share, I personally would like to acknowledge some thanks to everybody tonight. And by that, I mean thank you to our attendees at the Indian Head Library. Thank you to our attendees from Zoom. We have folks coming in from lots of provinces. I even think I saw a few stateside logins. So thank you so much for Indian Head Public Library for creating the space for this to happen tonight. Thank you so much, Michelle, for sharing your first hand experience. I see some fist pumps in the Zoom room for you. You did a good job, my dear.
Thank you.
And muchas gracias, Bernardo and Ian, for being here as well today and bringing the tour operator perspective. So Michelle, thank you very much. A little regalo, that's Spanish for gift for you tonight.
Gracias.
De nada. Thank you, everybody. And just before I end tonight, first I'll just check in with the Indian Head Library. Is there any questions that we have from the audience at Indian Head?
No, we're good here.
You good here?
Great
Awesome.
presentation.
Cool. Thank you so much, folks. And I am not seeing any chat questions at the moment. I'll just double check and make sure we're good to go. Seeing none at right now, I will just let you know that if you are watching this in the afterplay, or if you think of a question after the fact, you know how to get in touch with me right now. I am the facilitator. So if you have a question for Michelle, let me know and I can get it over to her. If you have a question for the folks over at HX, if you'd like to ask Bernardo something or Ian something, you can let me know. Basically, come to me first and we'll get you the right answer that you need. But everybody, I just wanted to say thank you so much again, and I really hope to see you at another travel presentation. Thank you so much for coming, everybody. I'm destinationwhatever.com. Adios.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.